19 kids and counting. 6 shocking rules the Duggar family has to follow. The Duggar family of 19 kids and counting were raised under extremely strict rules that formed around their conservative Christian upbringing. Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar ran an extremely tight ship on TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, as they had to keep 19 children in line. The family came across kind, as the boys wore khaki while the girls dressed like they lived in the early 1900s. However, over the years, the family's house rules seemed very odd. Even though 19 Kids and Counting went off the air in 2015, the series is still captivating, as it showed insight into how some conservative Christians actually live their day-to-day lives. The Duggar family of Arkansas still remains a controversial topic, especially as they had to follow the strict family rules since the patriarch claimed that they stemmed from their Christian beliefs. While some rules seemed not so abnormal, like no premarital sex and the family choosing to homeschool their children, others, like saving your first kiss until your wedding day, seemed a bit outdated. Jim, Bob, and Michelle grew up in a less strict environment, with the matriarch even being a high school cheerleader, but they both wanted their children to live a more chaste lifestyle. Growing up, all the Duggar women, including Michelle, weren't granted the privilege of wearing pants. Instead, daughters Jana, Jill, Jessa, Ginger, Joanna, Johanna, Jennifer, Jordan, and Josie Duggar were all raised wearing modest clothing that included floor-length skirts, shoulder coverings, and long hair. During an early 19 Kids and Counting episode, Michelle explained to the cameras that the family interpreted that the neck down to the knees should be covered, noting that by keeping those areas covered, there was no way anyone could be defrauded. However, as the women of the family moved out, many of Jim, Bob, and Michelle's older daughters started to break the rules and wear pants. In Ginger's new book, Becoming Freed Indeed, she noted that she doesn't interpret the Bible the same way her parents once did. Recently, Michelle was even caught posing with her daughters wearing pants instead of her famous long skirt. A huge rule in the Duggar family was not having any sexual experience before the covenant of marriage. The early seasons of 19 Kids and Counting showed just how uncomfortable it could be for the Duggar children admit on national TV that they were virgins. TLC cameras caught Josh Duggar courting his now wife, Anna Duggar. The two weren't allowed to be by themselves and always needed a chaperone. Their first kiss was anything but special, as the congregation watched them exchange saliva as they said, "I do." Hugs were also frowned upon, but if it was absolutely necessary to hug the opposite sex, the Duggar children were allowed to perform a side hug. Hand-holding was also questionable while courting. However, hand-holding after the engagement is permitted. While in today's day and time, having a lack of intimacy seems extremely strange, but this is how Jim, Bob, and Michelle operated, and there weren't any teen pregnancies. Public school, where the Duggar children could have been taught about the evils of the outside world, was never an option. Michelle took it upon herself to homeschool all of her children, which included classes in math, English, religion, and music. During 19 Kids and Counting, Michelle shared that the family used the Advanced Training Institute, which was a curriculum developed around their core Christian beliefs. Michelle and Jim, Bob's second oldest daughter, Jill, chose not to homeschool her son and instead sent him to public school, which quickly caused her grief within the family. Just like in Catholicism, the Duggars' strict conservative Christian views forbid any form of birth control or contraceptive. According to Bustle, Michelle and Jim, Bob blamed the pill as the reason for having a miscarriage shortly after their eldest child, Josh, was born. The parents of 19 shared that since they were conservative Christians, they believed every life is sacred, even the life of the unborn. After their loss, Jim, Bob, and Michelle chose to put their faith in God, and they believed they were rewarded as Michelle soon became pregnant with Jana and John David Duggar. The family is also against the idea of abortion and women's choice. While Saturday morning cartoons are a normal weekend activity for most children, the Duggar clan was banned from TV shows like VeggieTales. Amy Duggar shared that her cousins were never allowed to watch animated classics, and even after she brought over a tape of the Christian vegetable cartoon, her uncle freaked out. But Jim, Bob, and Michelle see their restriction as helpful, as the couple once shared that early in their relationship, they were so glued to the TV that their communication started to suffer. So in turn, because they were newlyweds who struggled, their children were never allowed to enjoy sitting in front of a TV. Jim, Bob, and Michelle highly frown upon marking your skin, so none of their children were ever allowed to have a tattoo on their bodies. The Duggars actually consider tattoos to be one of the worst offenses, only second to premarital sex. According to the conservative family, the Bible states in Leviticus 19:28 that worshipers should never cut into one's flesh or print marks on their skin. The only Duggars with tattoos are cousin Amy and Ginger's husband, Jeremy Vuolo. Most of the older daughters who have moved on and gotten married have explained their upbringing as a cult. But some, like Jessa, Jana, and Joyanna, still seem to embrace their parents' rules. While Jilda sent her children off to public school and lets them watch TV, her sisters still embrace the idea of large families and modest dress. The rules on 19 kids and counting are outdated, but Jim, Bob, and Michelle still stand by how they raised their children, even if some of the rules have fallen by the wayside.